Who is Reza Aslan? Reza Aslan is an Iranian American, came here in 1979 along with everybody else. I have spent sort of the last 10 or 12 years focusing on the religion, politics, and do a lot of writing for major newspapers and articles, and I also work as a consultant for CBS News, and I teach at the University of California, Riverside. But truly, I think what I would really say that I think of myself as is as a writer. Religion is a language made up of symbols and metaphors, but also to describe what is essentially an indescribable experience. I was teaching at the University of Iowa when the attacks of September 11th happened, teaching courses in Introduction to Islam and Islam in the Modern World and religion and politics of the Middle East. And so a lot of this stuff was building, and my classes were fairly popular, and so I already knew that there was a great need for this kind of information. But before September 11th, I had something like 34, 35 students in my class. After September 11th, I had 278 students in my class. Religion in every part of the world, and especially in the United States, is not just about faith. It's about identity, who you are, where you live, what your social status is, what your economic status is. It's about how you confront the world. Again, religious conflicts aren't always about religion. They're often about identity. So we can say that the Israeli-Palestinian crisis is a conflict between Jews and Muslims, except that doesn't make any sense. 20% of Palestinians are Christian, first of all, and many, many Jews in Israel are anti-Zionists and would like nothing more than peace and prosperity for Palestinians. So I think it's a simplistic and lazy and, it's silly way of kind of framing the conflicts that we see around us. I think that the president truly does believe that the war on terror is a war between good and evil. I think he really does. And I truly think that he believes that he is essentially taking part in a battle that is more or less taking place in heaven more than it is taking place on earth, that he is essentially the tool of God in this conflict against evil. Now, those are kind of scary things for the most powerful man in the world to believe, but it is truly what he believes. Good versus evil. Simple. I mean, any child can make that choice. Unfortunately, that's exactly the way Al-Qaeda sees this battle. It's exactly the way the jihadists see this battle. Not as a very complex socio-political conflict, but as good versus evil. I get this question all the time, where is the voice of moderate Islam? Almost by definition, the moderate voice is going to be lower than the extremist voice. Usually in this country, what we hear are two sets of extremist voices. The voice of violence and radicalism, or the voice of radical intolerance. Those are the two voices that we hear. To be perfectly frank, I find absolutely no difference, ideologically speaking, between Osama bin Laden and Ayaan Hirsi Ali. They believe the exact same thing. They are just as intolerant, they are just as fascist with their viewpoints. I would say that even in the American media, you rarely hear about, the moderate evangelicals. Why? Because it's not interesting. But the truth of the matter is that the Muslim living in Venice, California, minding his own business, waking up, going to his job, coming home, taking his kid to mosque on Friday, is boring. The Muslim who, hijacks a plane and rams it into a building, that guy's interesting. That's what you want to hear. Everyone's got an opinion about what to do with Iran, and I know I'm one of them. I understand that. But I think that the best thing for us to do is to actually ask Iranians what they want. And when you talk to Iranians, particularly young Iranians, 20s, 30s, what the problem is, very few of them say that, the main problem in Iran is Islamic law. Yeah, those are problems, they are, and they need to be addressed. The main problem in Iran, regardless of your piety or your politics or where you are from, is the economy. If you cannot get a job, if 60% of the degrees go to women and they make up 40% of the workforce, then the degrees don't matter, the education doesn't matter, the women's rights movements are irrelevant. You know, any kind of democratic infrastructure being built in Iran can't go anywhere because there's no work, there's no money. The economy is on the verge of collapse. And frankly, if oil wasn't $100 a barrel, it would have collapsed by now. You know, with the end of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Islam will no longer be the guiding principle for the nation state, but it will still play a role. It will necessarily play a role. And those people, particularly in the United States, who talk about, you know, a secular Iran, I'm not sure if they know what they're actually talking about. America is not a secular country. Turkey is a secular country. Turkey is a secular country because you cannot express your religious identity in public. If you're a woman and you want to go to college in Turkey, then you have to take your veil off. Simple as that. What we're talking about is a process of secularization in which political power is passed from religious authorities to civic authorities. Iran is not a secularized state. In fact, it's the only state in the world in which the religious authorities are also the political authorities. When we talk about a new Iran, we're talking about an Iran in which that's no longer the case, in which the religious authorities have religious authority and the political authorities have political authorities. But one in which religion certainly plays a role. It's impossible for it no longer to play a role. That said, I will say that it's hard to go to Iran without recognizing how sick and tired people are of Islam. And the pendulum will swing the other way, no question. But ultimately, I think it'll end up in the middle and people will just have a normal, regular relationship with their faith and with their state.